I'm Alyssa. I was cast to play Randolph Caldecott in the Caldecott Medal movie. I know what you're thinking. How did I get this role since I am neither British nor a man? Well, what I have to say to you is I have a pretty good British accent. As for not being a man, well, I'm a little bit confused about that as well. But, I mean, it's 2016, so anything goes. Anyways, what I'm actually here for is to tell you a little bit about Randolph Caldecott and the Caldecott Medal. So Randolph Caldecott was born in 1846 and he died at the age of 39 from heart disease. He was a self-taught and well-liked artist. His work was recognized by many reputable artists such as Vincent van Gogh. That's awesome! Vincent van Gogh! Anyways, Vincent van Gogh admired his work and he was quoted as saying his work was quite original and highly interesting. So what Caldecott really did for children's literature and children's illustration was he unified the text and the pictures, and that was like a huge leap towards what we consider like modern pictures and literature. Also, his illustrations really seem to transcend beyond just the words, so they kind of, added to the story and continue the story. And yeah, so his children's work was some of his more famous work. He did actually come to America and he did some drawings for newspaper articles and magazines as well, but he actually hated that because he was a lot of the times put on a deadline and he did not feel like he could do his best work when he had time constraints. Anyways, let's get on to the Caldecott Medal. So in 1938, Frederick Melcher, a big Caldecott collector and the editor of Publishers Weekly, decided that, illustrations like Caldecott should be recognized. So he came up with a medal. The medal is awarded to the illustrator of the most distinguished children's book published in the U.S. each year. There's one winner and one or more honor book chosen. So far there has been 78 winners. The first winner in 1938 was Animals of the Bible, written by Helen Dean Fisher and illustrated by Dorothy P. Lathrop. And the most recent winner is Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear, written by Lindsay Maddock and illustrated by Sophie Blackall. And speaking of Finding Winnie, we actually have a live reading coming up for you next. It was great talking to you guys, and I loved introducing myself, and I hope you guys like the movie. Bye.
Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear, the 2016 Caldecott Medal winner, written by Lindsay Maddock and illustrated by Sophie Blackall. Could you tell me a story? Asked Cole. It's awfully late. It was long past dark and time to be asleep. What kind of story? You know, a true story. One about a bear. We cuddled up close. I'll do my best, I said. A very long time ago, about 100 years before you were born, there was a veterinarian who lived in Winnipeg. His name was Harry Colburn. A vegetarian? Said Cole. Bear doesn't like vegetables. A veterinarian. It means an animal doctor. I know that, Cole said. That's what I'm going to be maybe when I'm big. If a horse had the hiccups or a cow had a cough, Harry knew how to make them feel just right. Harry's hands were never cold, even in Winnipeg, where winters are so frosty that icicles grow on the insides of their nose. That was just the kind of doctor he was. But a day came when Harry had to say goodbye to Winnipeg. There was a war far, far away, beyond the end of the country, and on the other side of the ocean, and he was going to help. He would be caring for the soldiers' horses. Harry rode east on the train full of other soldiers. He leaned his head against the window, watching the land scroll by, wondering what it would be like to be so far from home. The train rolled right through dinner, and over the sunset, and around 10 o'clock, and into nap, and out the next day, until it stopped at a place called White River. Harry decided to stretch his legs. On the train platform was a man on a bench with a baby. A baby, said Cole, annoyed. A baby bear, a cub. Harry stopped. It's not every day that you see a bear cub at a train station. That bear has lost its mother, he thought, and that man must be the trapper who got her. What do trappers do? Asked Cole. It's what trappers don't do. They don't raise bears. Raise them? You know, I said. Love them. Harry thought.
Time for Kids is excited to interview Finding Winnie illustrator Sophie Blackwell, the 2016 Caldecott Medal winner. So, Sophie, how did it feel to get a call today that you won the Caldecott Medal?
It was amazing. Every picture book illustrator has a flicker of hope that maybe they should put their phone next to their bed. But I had given up on that thought and that dream. And then when I had given it up, my phone rang. It was such a huge honor. It is so cool, and it was so incredibly unexpected.
That's awesome! What kind of research do you do to make the illustrations for this book?
Well, I spent about a year doing research, and it felt like I was spending a year with Harry, Winnie, Christopher Robin, and Winnie the Pooh. I went to the United Kingdom and followed in the footsteps that Harry and Winnie took to London. I looked at the archives of the zoo where Winnie had lived and saw the records of the day she arrived there in 1914. I threw myself deep into the research for this one.
Wow, that must have been so cool. Were you a fan of Winnie the Pooh as a child?
I was an obsessive fan. Winnie the Pooh was the very first book that I bought with my own money when I was just 7 years old. It was an antique copy of the original book. I reread the original Winnie the Pooh just recently, as a matter of fact. They are such funny books. They're so wise and hilarious. I think the stars aligned when my editor brought this project to me. It felt like it was meant to be.
I love Winnie the Pooh also. What do you think kids will like about this book?
I think that kids will love that it is a true story and that a man and a bear were friends. They got to sleep cuddled up together, and I think that kids will feel a little bit of heartbreak of the separation when Harry has to go into the trenches during war. I also think that they'll relate to the joy that Christopher has with that bear.
I love the story, and your illustrations are beautiful. Is it different to illustrate nonfiction books and fiction books?
Yes, it's completely different. They are both wonderful to illustrate. In fiction, you have the freedom to make things up, but for a story like this, you become a detective. You want to find the clues and the evidence. Everything is like a treasure hunt. It is so fantastic and exciting. I loved illustrating this book.
Well, thank you so much, Sophie, for spending a few minutes with us today and for sharing a sneak peek of your beautiful illustrations in Finding Winnie.
Dear Eric Roman, thank you for demonstrating when making a totem pole with our friends to reach high places that you should never put the hippo above duck, deer, or bear. Dear Aaron Steed, thank you for showing us that our pets are capable of taking care of us when we're sick, and maybe next time when the doctor's office is full, we should look for our care at the zoo. Dear Peggy Rathman, thank you for creating a way for all of us to laugh behind Officer Buckle's back, all the while learning very important safety tips. Dear John Klassen, Thank you for leaving us wondering what happened to Small Fish after Big Fish took his hat back, and for reiterating that you should never take something that doesn't belong to you.
Dear Marie Sendek, thank you for showing us that with a simple costume, our imagination can take us around the world to where the wild things are. Dear David Weisner, thank you for letting us know what happens on Tuesday nights while we are studying for our children's literature class. Dear Jerry Pickney, thank you for telling us the story of a young mouse that gets Stockholm Syndrome and is able to save his capturer after his own release. Dear Marcia Brown, thank you for reminding us to be grateful for gifts given to us and to never try to eat the ones that gave us those gifts.